Hey everybody, welcome back to Zoom Cine, the channel that helps you get more out of movies. Today we're going to be looking at 10 movies currently available on HBO Max. We've got action movies, horror movies, prestige dramas, comic book films, and a couple of movies that are already generating serious awards season buzz. As always, availability can change depending on your region, so if one of these catches your attention, don't wait too long to check it out. Let's start all the way back at my number 10 pick. Now my number 10 pick is a movie that's probably going to divide audiences, and that's Wuthering Heights. This is yet another adaptation of the famous novel, but what immediately separates this version from previous attempts is how visually ambitious it appears to be. This isn't just another costume drama. Everything about the marketing suggests something darker, moodier, and much more cinematic. At its core, the story follows Heathcliff and Catherine, whose relationship slowly evolves from romance into obsession. It's messy, tragic, and honestly pretty uncomfortable at times. Now if you're looking for a feel-good romance, this isn't it. But if you're a fan of emotionally intense character dramas and stories that explore the darker side of love, this version of Wuthering Heights might end up being one of the better adaptations we've seen in years. My next pick is one of the stranger movies on this list, and that's Marty Supreme. The premise revolves around a table tennis prodigy, which admittedly doesn't sound like the most exciting setup in the world. But trust me, there's a lot more going on here than competitive ping pong. The movie combines sports drama, comedy, and larger-than-life personalities into something that feels completely unique. And leading the charge is Timothée Chalamet, who continues to make some of the most interesting career choices in Hollywood. This feels like one of those movies where the less you know going in, the better. It's quirky, unconventional, and unlike anything else currently streaming. Next up is Predator, Badlands. Now the Predator franchise got a huge boost thanks to Prey, which reminded audiences just how terrifying this alien hunter can be when the movies focus on survival instead of spectacle. Badlands takes things in a bigger direction while still maintaining that hunter versus prey dynamic that made the original so effective. The action sequences are intense, the world building is impressive, and perhaps most importantly, the Predator once again feels dangerous. If you're a science fiction fan or just enjoy survival thrillers with a healthy dose of action, this is an easy recommendation. At number 7 we have One Battle After Another. This movie comes from acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson, and whenever he releases something new, movie lovers tend to pay attention. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio in a story that blends action, dark comedy, and political chaos into one incredibly ambitious package. What I like most about this movie is that it never feels predictable. Every time you think you understand where it's going, it pivots into a completely different direction. It's smart, funny, surprisingly intense, and exactly the kind of movie that rewards your full attention. Now let's switch genres entirely with weapons. This comes from the director of Barbarian, and if you've seen that movie, you already know this filmmaker loves keeping audiences uncomfortable. The setup revolves around multiple children who disappear under mysterious circumstances, but explaining much more than that would honestly ruin the experience. What makes Weapons work so well is the atmosphere. The movie creates this constant feeling that something is wrong even when nothing obvious is happening. It's creepy, suspenseful, and filled with the kind of surprises horror fans absolutely love. Now we're into the top 5, and kicking things off is Final Destination, Bloodlines. This franchise has always been built around one simple idea: death doesn't like being cheated. What follows is another collection of incredibly creative set pieces where ordinary situations slowly transform into disasters. And honestly, that's exactly what fans are here for. The movie introduces new characters and a fresh storyline, but it never loses sight of what made the series popular in the first place. If you've ever watched a Final Destination movie and suddenly become suspicious of ladders, elevators, trucks, escalators, or basically everyday life, then Bloodlines delivers exactly what you're hoping for. Coming in at number 4 is Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Now following up a movie as beloved as Mad Max, Fury Road is almost impossible, but director George Miller does a remarkable job expanding this world. Anya Taylor-Joy takes over as Furiosa, and she brings a different energy to the character while still preserving everything fans loved about her. The action is absolutely massive, the practical effects remain spectacular, and the wasteland itself continues to be one of the most fascinating worlds in modern cinema. Even if it doesn't quite reach Fury Road levels, it's still one of the strongest action films of the last few years. At number 3 we have The Batman. What impressed me most about this movie is that it finally embraced the detective side of Batman. Instead of focusing entirely on action, the movie plays like a noir mystery. Batman is investigating murders committed by the Riddler, and each clue pulls him deeper into Gotham's corruption. The atmosphere is phenomenal. The cinematography is gorgeous. And Robert Pattinson delivers one of the most interesting versions of Batman we've seen on screen. This is a long movie, but it earns every minute of its runtime. My number 2 pick is Sinners. This movie absolutely caught me by surprise. Directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Michael B. Jordan in dual roles, Sinners begins as a character-driven drama before evolving into something far darker. The less you know about the story, the better. But what I can tell you is that the atmosphere is outstanding, the performances are excellent, and the movie constantly finds ways to keep you engaged. It's one of those rare horror films that works equally well as a character study, which gives it much more emotional weight than most movies in the genre. And honestly, that's a big reason why it lands so high on this list. That brings us to my number 1 pick, and that's Ballerina. Now if you're a fan of the John Wick franchise, this is pretty much essential viewing. The movie stars Ana de Armas as an assassin seeking revenge, and it expands the John Wick universe in a way that feels meaningful rather than forced. The action choreography is outstanding. The fight scenes are creative. And just like the best John Wick movies, every sequence feels carefully designed instead of relying on quick edits and shaky cameras. What surprised me most is how well Ana de Armas carries the movie. She proves she's more than capable of leading a major action franchise. Add in appearances from Keanu Reeves, and you end up with one of the most entertaining action movies currently available on HBO Max. And that's why Ballerina takes my number 1 spot. So those are 10 movies you can currently watch on HBO Max. Which one is your favorite? Have you already watched Ballerina, Sinners, or Final Destination, Bloodlines? Let everybody know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to ZoomCine, click that bell icon, and stay tuned for more streaming recommendations, hidden gems, and movie countdowns. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.